Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome on board on our ride down the Stick. And it was a fast one. We did average 51 kilometer an hour for 18 kilometer on the Stick. You might wonder, what the hell is the Stick? Well, the Stick is an 18 kilometer long part of the Qudra Cycling Path in Dubai. It is called the Stick because, well, it basically looks like a stick. So it's basically a long stretch of road which is connected like a branch to a loop. That is the Al Qudra loop in the desert outside of Dubai. The Al Qudra Cycling Path total is a network of around 220 kilometers of pristine asphalt high-speed cycling path. It's open 24/7. You have fantastic facilities. You have big parking with showers on the so-called B.O.T.S parking, which is the bottom of the stick parking, where you can in the morning drop off your car, go for a ride, come back after 2 hours, have a shower, get changed, and head off to work, which is what a lot of people do. And then you also have parking at the top of the stick, where you have also a track cycling store where you can rent bikes, as well as a famous Zats Cafe, which is the go-to stop place when you are riding in Al Qudra and you want to either refill on the way, or you want to just have a coffee and chat with friends and meet people and watch some small little kittens at the moment because the cats at Zats got some new babies. So that is Al Qudra. Al Qudra, it's around a 20-minute drive to get to B.O.T.S parking. And it's the starting point for fantastic riding opportunities you have in Dubai. We rode there when I lived there all year long, no matter if it was 50 degrees in summer or if it was 10 degrees in the morning in winter. It's a fantastic place. It's super fast road. I mean, you can see here I'm doing 52 kilometer an hour. On that ride, I averaged 340 watts for the way down the stick. And I think the total average maybe was around 260 to 70. We did a total of 104 kilometers, averaging 42.5 kilometers an hour. So it was a pretty solid, quick ride. I'm on my TT bike. I'm riding the S-Works Shift with Hyper 65 wheels and nice fast TT cockpit. So it's a quick bike, but of course you still have to work with your legs to get the speed done. I have behind me at the moment, I do have a few friends. We have Ian with me, who is riding right behind me, super aero guy, a triathlete on his Cervelo P5 disc, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have the one and only Chef Izu Ani, riding behind Ian on his new Factor Hanzo. Absolutely stunner of a bike, and of course also a fabulous guy. And behind Izu we have Lorraine, who is hanging on her road bike since 2.5 hours, doing over 40k an hour in the back. And hats off for hanging in there now at on the stick, going down at 54k an hour, which is definitely good work. We were trying to get her the KOM on the stick today, or the QOM, but I think we failed by a few seconds. But it was a fabulous ride. The weather is just amazing in Dubai at the moment. When I was there in end of November, you have like 15 to 20 degrees in the morning in the desert, and even during the day it's only heating up to maybe 25, 30 degrees. So absolutely lovely. I'm rolling on my Continental TTTR tires, which is my race tire that I'm using, and I absolutely love that one. And I'm not sponsored by them. I just absolutely love the tire. Set up tubeless. I did have one flat though a few days before, And that's one thing also you need to watch out for. Or one of the, I would say, three things you need to watch out for when riding in Al Qudra. The first one is other cyclists. So you're not alone. There's a lot of beginners also riding here. There's a lot of groups riding here. So keep your head up, keep your eyes open. Don't overtake in crazy corners. There's not that many corners. So relax and chill down for a few seconds before you're overtaking any group. So make yourself heard, alert people in advance before you're overtaking them. Either just shout the friendly passing on the when you are approaching them, or ring a bell or whatever. But yeah, make people alert if you're passing, especially if it's a group. If it's only one or two people, I usually don't say anything. I just fly by with a good distance, because I actually feel that that's the safest, because whenever people are turning their head to look back, they usually also swerve left. So you need to take that into account. So that is one thing you need to watch out for. You're not alone, so watch out for other guys. And then the other thing you need to definitely watch out for is stones. Not so much down the stick, but especially when you're out in the desert. These the stones that are on the side of the road, get thrown onto the bike path by cars that are driving next to the bike path or that are crossing the bike path. And these stones are freaking sharp, like razor blade sharp. When I had a flat 2-3 days before that ride, I actually got 3 freaking holes in the tire from one stone that I hit on the side. And we had to plug the holes and put some super glue on it and everything to get it sealed properly. It was my first real flat on a tubeless tire that didn't seal in 80,000 kilometers. And I was riding on quite some bad roads in Europe. So I really can put in some good words for tubeless, but they're not indestructible. And the stones in Al Qudra, if you hit them in a bad way, definitely can slice up your tire. So that's the second thing to watch out for. And the third is wildlife. Now, you don't really think that maybe there's a lot of wildlife in the desert. There's actually 2 animals that you really need to watch out for. And of course, it's not the little kittens in Al Qudra on Zat's Cafe at the parking place. No, it is either the gazelles or antelopes. Not gazelles, it's the antelopes or the oryxes. So the oryxes are the big white animals, and you really don't want to hit them in a head-on collision, because they're quite big, they're heavy, and they have a big pointy thing on their head that could just kill you if you hit them head-on. But usually they're quite sensitive to noise, and they will leave you alone. And if you approach the track where they are on, then usually they walk away or run away. More dangerous are the antelopes, because the antelopes their fur color is very close to actually the sand color, and that makes it super dangerous when they are running at high speed and crossing the bike path. I had a few near misses, especially in the early morning hours or the late evening hours around sunset. So yeah, keep your eyes open, especially left and right of the track for any of the antelopes running towards you. Because also if you see one, watch out for the rest, because usually they don't travel alone. So there might be a group of them approaching you. So then let's talk a bit about Al Qudra and the loops. There is usually, I would say, there's one basic ride, and that's called stick and loop. So what is stick and loop? Stick and loop is the 18 kilometers of the stick, followed by one of the 2 Al Qudra loops. The Al Qudra loops, there's 2 different lengths. The smaller loop is 46 kilometers, and the longer loop is 49 kilometers. So with the stick and loop, you're getting in 83 or 86 kilometer ride, which depending on the pace lasts for 1 hour and 50 up to 2.5, 3 hours. So it's a very nice morning ride or afternoon ride that you can get in, and I would say it's the most common ride in Dubai, the stick and loop. Then the bike path has two extensions. So it has either an upper extension, which is around 20 kilometers, or a back extension, which is around 25 kilometers. And of course, if you combine those two together, then you get up to 115 kilometers in 125 kilometers, depending on where you actually take the exits. And yeah, so some super nice long riding, some very long straights. So I think the longest straight is close to 25 kilometers long, which is the back straight from the back extension, passing a mosque on the way to the Zat's coffee place before you turn left on the stick. So if you have headwind there, well, it's good mental training, because cycling 25-30 kilometers straight into a headwind on a very, very straight road is pretty tough, but good mental training. So yeah, when we had the COVID times and Qudra was only allowed to ride in small groups, I started a cycling group here, which was called the Qudra Pain Train. And it became infamous for absolutely smashing each other, going 45k an hour along the loops. And we cracked almost every KOM that existed there. And it was great fun. And two of the guys that you now see on the videos also joined for some of the rides with the famous Pain Train. We have here Ian in the front, Mr. Arrow. He's just so crazy, Arrow. It's horrible to ride behind him because you don't get a lot of draft. And behind him we have now Izu getting ready to do his turn and giving me a bit of a rest on the way down the stick. I still have the KOM down the stick, which I'm pretty impressed by, because it's now 3 years old. A few people have tried, including the dog himself, Mr. Joe Skipper, but he still was a few seconds short. So the KOM currently is under 19 minutes for the 18 kilometers. So I averaged 56 kilometers an hour. That was solo on my TT bike, but of course with full setup. So I did a loop together with Joachim, who you will see at the very end of the video. And I went full gas with a big tailwind down the stick, with disc wheel, with Arrow helmet, in a speed suit. And yeah, managed to crack the 19 minutes and do over 56 kilometers an hour average. The road is not really downhill, even if we talk about going down the stick, but it's a very slight downhill of less than 1% incline or decline. And but usually you have very little wind when you go up in the early morning before sunrise. And then the wind picks up slightly, so you have a little bit of tailwind in most cases, and sometimes even strong tailwind when you're going down the stick. And here we're approaching the bridge, which is another crazy KOM that I have, doing over 60 kilometers an hour with a crazy tailwind over the bridge. So I actually had to brake in the corners, but that was on another ride. But here we were still pushing a good pace on the uphill towards the bridge, going over 40k an hour. On the bridge, very important, do not overtake any groups. If you have single cyclists, I think it's still safe to overtake them single file, because you can still stay in your lane more or less, as you can see here. But as there's groups coming, maybe also the other way, that need more or less the full width of their side of the road, it's important to watch out here and don't do anything crazy. On the way up, we also had to slow down a bit because there was a small group in front of us, so we waited until we had clear view before we did any overtaking over. The way down the bridge actually is the fastest part of the whole ride, where you have a small downhill, you have good wind in most cases, and you still might have some good legs, so you can push easily up to over 60k an hour here if you push hard. Here I was waiting a little bit, so I had 0 watts because I unfortunately accidentally dropped the others a little bit, but then back onto the pedals, pushing over 500 watts for a bit to get the pace up. And as you see now, we're doing 58k an hour, so really motoring down the stick, and yeah, absolutely just great fun. And I know that there's people who say that, oh, riding in the desert is boring and it always looks the same. And I always say, like, no, actually, it doesn't. Sunrise in the desert is different every day. It's maybe only slight nuances that you don't really realize when you look on a photo or a picture. But when you're riding there, it's just phenomenal. And then on the other side, this monotony of the dunes and the desert and the sunrise, I kind of love it because it really helps you to switch off. You get in kind of an almost meditative state, I would say. It's almost like getting into the zone and zooming out and just focusing on, yeah, the noise of the wind and the tires and the sound of that your whole bike makes and the feeling of your body. And you just I can just switch off. I switch off my brain and just yeah, push and feel the exhaustion, but absolutely yeah, enjoy it. It's a very special feeling that you really can only get there, because if you're riding in a city or in the mountains where I live in Germany, you always need to be focused. You always need to be attentive to your surroundings and the road and everything. And here you can really just get on the aero bars on your TT bike and keep riding for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I mean, there's people who've done 500K rides or more in the desert and just doing loops and loops and loops. And it's a very special place. So I really appreciate that from the city and the authorities to build that bike path, because it really gets a lot of people on the bike, and especially also female or woman that maybe are new into the sport. It's a super safe place to ride in general, because yeah, I would say in general, Dubai or UAE is a very safe place, but also that road, similar as the NAS bike loop, it's a very nice place to ride. You don't need to worry about cars and traffic, and there's there's light on stick, so it's a good place to start cycling and get used to it. Of course, need to watch out for some stuff, but in general, it's a really fantastic place to ride the bike, and I highly enjoy it and highly recommend it. If you're traveling to Dubai, bring your bike or rent a bike at the Cycle Hub or Wolfies or the track store, and just go for a loop around the desert. It's a unique experience. Here we need to really slow down because that's a crossing to Akoya. And you see I'm slowing down to below 30 kilometers an hour because you have quite some sand here on the road, and also the cars are not always the most attentive. And there's some weird rule that if a road is crossing a bike path in the UAE or in Dubai, you theoretically have to get off the bike and walk your bike over the pedestrian crossing the road, and then get back on the bike, which of course nobody does. But yeah, it's a little bit weird because normally I would say it's a bike path, so the bikes should have the right of way, and the cars should be forced to stop. It's the same here, as you can see, the pedestrian crossing. So by the signs, we're not allowed to actually ride over the crossing. So we would need to get off the bike, walk over the crossing where the cars come out of the petrol station or go in, and yeah, so that's a little bit weird. But yeah, here we have a small downhill again. We're back up to 56 kilometers an hour, pushing 350 to 400 watts. And then we have a small incline. And I think that might have been the place where we unfortunately dropped Lorraine, because she missed the QOM by around 20 to 30 seconds because she got dropped, I think, here. And if we would maybe could have not pushed that hard, she could have stayed on and maybe got QM. So apologies for that, but yeah, I kind of felt in a little bit in a hurry to get to the end of the stick in a quick way. So I was pushing pretty hard here, over 400 watts, to get yeah, keep a nice average and keep the average at 51k an hour, which I had on my Garmin. But it was still great fun anyway. I think the total average, I don't know if I said it before already, is around 340 watts for the ride. yeah, here we got a little bit into traffic, but kept the hands on the base bar to be able to brake if needed. But other than that, I think it was a pretty safe ride, also at the high speed. Important just that when you're finishing down the stick, you don't want to hit the parking area at 50 km an hour. So please, everybody, don't sprint to the final end, but keep it safe and slow down before you actually finish. And so when we were on the road bikes, we usually were sprinting from the 1K sign to the 500-meter sign, and then the sprint's finished, and then we're just cruising to the end. And we do a little bit the same here. We're now on the final kilometer, and I think Ian should come by any second, because I remember that he was coming by in the very end. But yeah, doing 56K, 57K an hour, so it's we're really motoring down that road. Now come a runner up the road, which you can see because there's lots of triathletes here, and they quite often just do finish their ride, drop the bike in the car, and then do a short run up the stick to get their brick session in. And yeah, still flying by a few cyclists. We have less than, I think, maybe 500 meters to go, 600 meters to go. And here we have Ian coming by, finally doing another turn. But yeah, a fabulous ride, really pushing hard, really enjoying it. And that was definitely one of the good rides that I had with the lads in the days that I was in Dubai. And yeah, as I said, 51 kilometer an hour average, 18 kilometers long down the stick, and not my fastest, but still one of the fastest this year, and I think still one of the fastest rides on the stick in a long time. So yeah, as you can see here, we're going to 250 meters before the finish. You can see the cars already on the right, and we're slowing down a bit to make sure that there's nobody coming up and that we would face any danger. And that's the end of the stick. So I hope you enjoyed the ride. I hope that you are motivated to maybe also give it some push when you're in Dubai, or bring your bike when you're coming here for a holiday or vacation, or yeah, rent one in Cycle Hub, Wolfie's Track Store. They're all renting out bikes. And yeah, that was it. Subscribe to the channel for more videos about riding and riding all over the world. And yeah, here in the blue, we're actually seeing Mr. Joachim, one of the old Qudra Paint Train members. Thanks for joining, and have a good one. See you. Bye-bye.